Hi there, Julie from Julie's Kitchen Adventures. Today I'm going to be making a fresh tomato, cucumber, and feta salad. It is a Pampered Chef recipe. Of course, as is typical me, I don't have all of the ingredients, but I do want to make this salad and I'm going to put some substitutions in there. Why? Because when I went shopping today, I had a different recipe in mind. So this is what we've got. So as it says, there's a tomato, cucumber we're going to be substituting for salad because I forgot to grab a cucumber. And we're just going to leave out the peppers. But what we're going to do is actually prep it. This is under one of the 30-minute meals. And I'm going to put this salad on top of the some fry bread. So we will also be making that real quick. And that is just a basic recipe for the fry bread that I had found on Pinterest. Very simple. You can use the smaller tomatoes for this, or you can use what I have. It actually calls for 4 plum tomatoes, so I am just going to use these 3 vine ripe tomatoes that I had picked up. The plum tomatoes were looking a little scary today at the store, so nope. So I'm using the small Pampered Chef chef's knife, and I am on the cutting mat. Normally you can pick these up and put your ingredients in the bowl. I'm putting my ingredients into the classic batter bowl, and I'll be using the classic scraper, the regular size scraper, to be mixing everything up. So basically you're going to chop up your vegetables. That would be your 3 plum tomatoes, 2 seedless cucumbers if that's what you were using, and 1 yellow bell pepper. Adds a nice crunch and a little bit of sweetness to the salad. You want 4 ounces of feta cheese, crumbled into chunks. So now that the tomato is all cut up, and we are going to take approximately 4 ounces of feta and crumble that up into our bowl. It's a little melty at the moment, but it'll crumble up, especially as we stir it anyway. Okay, needed to grab a paper towel there and the black pepper. And like I said before, instead of using the cucumber, we're going to use salad. Now I have a mixed spring mix here, which I think will go well with the ingredients that we have. And I am just simply going to ball it up and then just do a slice. Make sure you don't chop off your fingers, put the knife against your knuckles, whatever. Just don't chop off your fingers. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in my bowl. And I'm going to season with a little bit of black pepper and do an initial mix here, as you can see. Okay, and then for the dressing, we're going to use this guy right here. Let me move this thing out of my way just a little bit. Okay, we're going to use this right here, the mix and pour. So we have a 1/4 cup of white balsamic or white wine vinegar. Of course, I ran out of white wine vinegar, didn't realize it, and that's what I was planning to use, but I don't have white balsamic either, so not unflavored anyway. I do have one, it's got a flavor. We're not going to use that one tonight, so we're just going to use this regular balsamic, which of course is going to give my dressing a different color, but it'll still be super yummy. So we want 50 mLs of this, and the recipes are in mLs, and of course just your regular US measurements here. This also be a 1/4 cup, but if you can see that, it has the mLs on there already, so easy peasy. So now I have the 50 mLs in there. I want to add 125 of olive oil. So that brings me up to 175 of the mLs. And then I want to add, there's no more liquids, so I want to add a 1/2 tablespoon. So I'm going to use the 1/2 tablespoon measuring spoon that the Pampered Chef has. It's wonderful because you don't have to guess where a 1/2 tablespoon is, and sometimes that 1/2 tablespoon is just the perfect amount for what you need. I need 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Put that in there. And then it has a pressed or garlic clove, but I don't have garlic at the moment. So I'm just going to use the pre-minced stuff, and yes, approximately 1 clove of garlic. And I'm going to put the lid on, make sure the lid is closed. Hold it closed, shake this up. We have our super yummy dressing for the salad. And what I'm going to do, this is where the little bit of modification comes in. So I'm going to put about 1/2 of this on my salad here, because once I make the fry bread, I'm going to want to put this on top, but also drizzle a little bit more of that dressing on top of there. So we're just gonna let this sit in there. And I think I need to chop up just a little bit more lettuce. All the rest of the ingredients look good. Amount wise, but remember I'm using a substitution, so just gonna make this go by eye just a little bit here. Okay, and we're gonna let those flavors meld in together, and now we are going to make our Indian fry bread. So the Indian fry bread, really easy. I'm doubling the recipe because that's what we do. And I forgot the flour. I'm back. Now that I rearranged, made a little bit of space for myself, I'm gonna measure 4 cups of the flour. Now this is a super forgiving bread recipe, so I'm not gonna worry too much about precise measurements like a cake. A cake you need to the gram to ensure that it comes out just the way you want it. But this one, the goal, you don't want to have a dome of flour. You want it to be level, and you don't want to pack it in. But if you scoop it out and kind of shake your measuring cup and make sure it's as level as possible, then you should be okay. You can do minor adjustments if needed to your mixture afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to the 4 cups of flour, I'm gonna add just a 1/4 teaspoon of the salt this time, and I'm going to put in, oops, I used my teaspoon for another one. So we're gonna put in 4 teaspoons. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon here, so 4. So we're adding in our 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and we have our 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 4 cups of flour, and I'm just going to mix it up. I am using the teaspoon just to mix it up, just because I want it somewhat blended. And then to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of water, warm water, and 1 cup of warm milk. And I am taking this smaller scraper here, and I'm going to mix that up. Once it forms into a ball, you're going to want to turn it out onto a floured surface and knead it together. And you do want your water warm. It makes for a nicer bread. And it is okay that your dough rests after you make it into your fry bread pieces and before putting it into the oil. So take off my ring. That's done. Now I have the old style cutting board with the groove around the rim, but I don't need the groove at the moment, so I'm just going to flip it over, place some flour on there. Like I said, this dough, it will be somewhat sticky, so put it on there, get my dough off, sprinkle some flour on top, and we're going to knead this, oops, real quick. And you can make your fry dough or fry bread pieces however big that you want to. They can be small, they can be big, whatever. Now this dough is not a yeast dough, so you don't have to wait for it to rise, but it does do a little bit better if you let it relax before cooking, like I said. Okay, so I'm going to take my, oh, I don't have another knife up here. That is okay. So I'm going to take my ball of dough and I'm going to split it into half, and then half again, and then half again. So for me, we're gonna have 8 fry breads. Now I believe the basic recipe with the 2 cups of flour has you make 8 also, so I could technically do 16, but we do like our fry bread a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker. So there you go. And if you need to, add a little bit more flour if it starts to get sticky. Now, here is the baker roller. It has a slightly curved end on one. I don't know if you can see that, and this one's completely flat. The curved one works nice for this process because it cuts down that middle and pushes the dough out to the edge. You can just use your hands also if you want. And you want it, whoops. You want it to be as consistent in thickness around as you can get it. And tonight we're going to put a hole right in the middle, and that makes it so you don't have a big giant air bubble in the middle of your fry bread, and the top gets a little sticky I'm going to stack them, and I don't want them sticking together. So I'm going to just put that there. And there's one. Now for the hand version, you can just go pack it down. It is harder to spread it out, but it'll get there. And make sure it doesn't get too sticky, or else it won't work quite right. And you don't want to have any holes other than your center hole there. Really wanting it off before you put it in the fryer. But there we go. And everything should be there. Remember, make sure there's flour in between so that your bread does not stick to each other. Okay, I have relocated us over to the stove. I have my oil. It might be a little hot. Hopefully it'll cool down in just a second. I'm using vegetable oil. You can use whatever you want. Taking the first piece, and I'm gonna zip it in there. And yes, the oil is hot, so be careful. And it likes to shoot out that little hole that I mentioned. But at least your bread's not puffing up way super high in the middle. You can actually see it cooking in there. Pretty good. Let's see. There, move it just a little bit. And I'd say my oil is just a tad hot at the moment, but thankfully the bread is thinner, so it should be cooking all the way through. And as this is flipping and cooking in there, it is cooling the oil down. I have it on a really, really low temperature right now. But I would say probably around medium is what you want to have your oil at, or your temperature on your stove burner. If that is too hot, of course, just turn it down. If it is not hot enough, then turn it up. A way to test, other than seeing smoke come out of your pan, that the oil is done, is to simply, see, there's the fry bread. And this one might be just a little bit underdone on the inside. Like I said, that oil was hot. What I have found, that is, if it is a little bit on the undercooked side in the center of your fry bread, then an easy way to fix that issue is to simply warm it up in the microwave. Just a few seconds, 30 seconds usually works, and it'll finish cooking that bread all the way through for you. Cooling rack here, the stackable cooling rack, which is fantastic. If you don't have them, you need to get them. They're great, especially if you have a lot of items that you're cooking and need to get cooled. Okay, and now, I'm gonna take my fry bread, put it on a plate, and I'm going to take some of that salad that's been with the dressing, and I'm just gonna put it on top of there, like so. And then give my leftover dressing a shake. Do a drizzle. It looks delicious. And let's see. It just really looks amazing. Honestly, if you wanted to add some meat, you could put venison on there, you could put steak on there, you could put turkey, chicken, lamb. I think anything, actually. You could really put any meat on there, and just simply, you could even marinate it in that dressing some and then cook it up, or just cook it up with salt and pepper and then drizzle the dressing on top. Alrighty. Let's see if I can tip this without spilling it. Oops, there goes the extra dressing. Well, happy cooking, everyone.